Hi, everybody. Welcome to our virtual community partner event at North Bennet Street School. We offer 9 separately accredited career training programs. And we also offer institutional scholarship support for qualified applicants, including a workforce scholarship for residents of the city of Boston and graduates of Boston Public Schools that can cover total tuition, tools, a business course, and an MBTA pass. The workforce scholarship is made possible by our generous donors, and it complements our local efforts in recruiting students for diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of the best parts of recruiting for the full-time accredited career training programs here at North Bennet Street School is getting to work with our guests that are here today on our panel. I'd like to ask each of them to introduce themselves and to talk about the mission of their organization. Can we start with you, Sarah?
Yes, thanks so much for having me here today, Rob. My name is Dr. Sarah Cherry Rice, and I'm the Executive Director of Digital Ready here in Boston. And Digital Ready, we're a fairly new nonprofit here in the city. And last year during the pandemic, we launched Year 13. And Year 13 is really a program that allows Boston Public School graduates, they could be currently in high school or recently graduated, really the opportunity to do 3 things. They're able to explore their purpose and their passion. So we really think that students between kind of the ages of 17 and 25 really need that time and support and resources to figure out, where am I supposed to be in the world? How do I make that change that I want to see? And then with that, they also get to take early college classes in technical areas related to architecture and construction technology, engineering technology, and computer science. And then they also have work-based learning experiences. So they've got kind of these 3 different opportunities to explore, like, who am I and how do I find my role in Boston's innovation economy?
That's great. And Sarah, we often have people that come from places that have transferable skills, and we're able to visit Digital Ready and see that you have the 3D printers and things like that. And I really like the connection between sort of theoretical making and digital. And when you came to visit here, it was pretty clear that you could see the connection between your organization and ours, and I'm grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Rachel, what about yourself?
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I am an employment and education manager at More Than Words. More Than Words is a nonprofit social enterprise for system-involved young adults. So we're a job training program for young adults ages 16 to 24. We serve court-involved, homeless, foster care, out of school, or Department of Children and Families, and Department of Mental Health. I feel like I rattled them in the wrong order, so I maybe missed 1 or 2 in there. Everything's on our website. But we serve them in a 6 to 12-month job training program. They run our business, our book business, and our clothing business, and we are a completely donations-run business. We also have a bookstore. We have 2 locations, one in Waltham and one in Boston in the South End. So feel free to shop at our stores or online. We love to get donations and customers. But the big part of also working at More Than Words is all of our young adults are working on themselves. So all of our young adults have U-jobs and come into our organization really with a question 0, the question before they ask all questions. So how we've partnered with North Bennet Street in the past is all of our young adults have education plans, and they have to have an education plan to work at More Than Words. So we've had many young adults explore North Bennet Street, interested in North Bennet Street, and actually 1 young adult go to North Bennet Street School, which has been pretty awesome. And we're really lucky to have North Bennet Street School as a partner.
Good, thank you. And I think we have at least 1 person that's queued up for the fall also. Cool. Norma, how about yourself? Would you introduce yourself and talk about the mission of your organization?
Sure. Can you all hear me? My video somehow is not loading. I'm not quite sure why. So I put on a blazer for no reason, apparently. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you. Sorry that my camera's not cooperating, but it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm Norma Rey-Alicea. I'm the founding director of NextGen Talent. We're a career information and development service. And really, we work to boost the labor market payoff of post-secondary credentials, and those could be, college credentials or non-college credentials for low-income students, students of color, and first-generation college goers. I'm originally from Jamaica Plain, daughter of an immigrant, grew up in Boston all my life, going to the North End here and there around Haymarket. My mom would get groceries. I always knew that North Bennet existed, but a lot of my peers didn't. And I didn't really know much about it. So I'm really excited to be collaborating with North Bennet Street. Essentially, as a career information and development service, what NextGen Talent does is we partner with college access and success organizations. So I'm sure many of you have heard of One Goal, Massachusetts, or the Boston PIC and the work that they do, Bottom Line, and also with high schools. And we work really closely with them to integrate our services into their career advising and curricula. And so our tools and services include sort of a suite of things like interactive labor market reports that show where the good jobs are in Boston and career outcomes by college major. We also have a directory of career-focused post-secondary programs in the region, a career exploration platform that we've developed, and a career mentoring program that we just launched. So, at the end of the day, what we really want to do is help empower students to connect to well-paying careers in Boston. And we want to empower the advisors that work with these students so they can provide sort of more tactical, data-driven, and efficient guidance around career pathways for students. And this is especially important now, sort of given the economic, financial, and other uncertainties our young people in our city and all of us have experienced right with the pandemic. And so to talk about very quickly, Rob, sort of our partnership with North Bennet Street School, it's a little bit different than the other folks on the phone because we're an information service. So in the last several years, what I've done is I've worked really closely with Rob to make sure that students from NextGen Talent's partner high schools and college access and success organizations know about the programs that North Bennet Street School offers. And so because of these partnerships that we have, our tools and services really reach many students across the city and state. One of these tools, Navigator, is a first of its kind in the country. It's an online searchable directory of more than 125 career-focused post-secondary programs in Greater Boston and Massachusetts, and it provides really a lot of detailed information on a very wide range of technical and professional programs. So everything from like an associate's degree in automotive tech at a community college to a bachelor's in nursing to a union electrical apprenticeship to year-up training. And Navigator is really innovative because it contains info we gather from interviews that can't be found on a program website or in a brochure, including program level outcomes, such as like completion, employment rates, tips for admission, Boston metro area wages, things like that. And so I wanted to make sure that Navigator was included North Bennet Street programs. So I collaborated with Rob to interview him on programs such as locksmithing and carpentry. And so I'm really excited that now we can say that all of these students and advisors that work with them through our partnerships can see those programs and how well they're doing in terms of graduating students and getting them good first jobs, well-paying jobs that have advancement opportunities. So that's where we come in, and we're very, very happy about our partnership.
That's great. Thank you, Norma. Yeah, the Navigator tool is amazing. And recently we've expanded workforce scholarship to include all of the programs here. And so it reminds me I need to get to work on the Navigator tool to get those other 7 programs up there.
Yes, we love that.
I am going to go ahead and invite Kathy Willett to join us as a panelist. I mentioned that early on while we were getting ready. Kathy Willett works for the VA and in the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment. We've got a number of students come through her office to North Bennet Street School as well. So Kathy, thank you for joining us. I saw you as a guest and I thought that's perfect. Would you please talk with us about the mission of your organization?
Of course, certainly. Thanks for promoting me to the panel. This is fun. Such a nice diversion in my day. So the VRE program within the Department of Veterans Affairs, we work exclusively with veterans with service-connected disabilities, which of course can run the gamut of anything that falls under the umbrella of disability. Our mission is to work with those veterans to get them trained, retrained for suitable employment that they can sustain in spite of the disabling conditions and the limitations they create. So we are thrilled that seemingly more of our veteran population has been able to be successful with North Bennet Street School. A lot of our veterans, as you might imagine, have a lot of physical things, disabilities. So the trades are not always the most appropriate, but for those for whom it is a great alternative, it's been fantastically successful. So I'm always thrilled when I have a veteran of my own that is going to be able to go through North Bennet Street School. It's exciting. But overall, our broad mission is to return our service-connected disabled veterans to the civilian workforce in a capacity and in a vocational path that they can sustain over the long term. The VRE program pays for the cost of their training in full. So the veterans, it's a incredibly generous benefit that we are thrilled to be able to offer for the veterans that meet the criteria for our program.
Thank you. Sarah, I'm going to go back to you now. Like North Bennet Street School programs, one size doesn't really fit all. This may be the same with your constituents. Would you talk about the connectivity of your organization with North Bennet Street School? And I know right now we have one student so far that has come, the first of many over time, I hope.
Yes, and last year was our first cohort. So last year we had Pablo, who's over at North Bennet. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you even know this, Rob, like every day we get pictures from Pablo of all the projects and stuff that he's working on, just like sharing them back with the studio. And he's slated to come in on Monday to talk to our current students about North Bennet, which we're super excited about.
That's great.
Yeah. So like North Bennet, when we were getting ready to launch Digital Ready, we had interviewed students like all across Boston in different high schools. And one of the reoccurring themes that we constantly heard is that students really felt like when they were graduating high school, that there was maybe only one door that they saw. And they really felt like they were being pushed towards a particular pathway. And students really expressed the need to like, how come I don't get to know like all of the different pathways and where's that opportunity to explore and really decide what's right for me? And so our mission is really to think about, okay, so how can we show students that there's not just one door that's open when you graduate high school, that there are so many opportunities in Boston. And like, I think Rachel said earlier, North Bennet is like this, we feel like this hidden jewel in the North End that so many Boston public school students just don't know about and may not know like how it connects to like their purpose and their passions. So across the course of the year, students get to explore all different types of things. And like North Bennet, we are incredibly like hands-on. So we believe like students need to really be immersed in architecture or be immersed in digital fabrication and the process of building, whether it's like building like Pablo's in the carpentry program now or building in code. Like we always say to students, it's as important to know like things that you don't like as you find things that you do like. And so just thinking about Pablo's story, he tried a lot of different things. He was really good at so many. But the thing he kept coming back to is like, I love working in the software. He was really good. He did an apprenticeship with Autodesk Fusion 360. So at Autodesk in the Seaport, he did another apprenticeship with one of our Dorchester-based design digital fabrication studios. And the Autodesk one was all online because it was virtual, even though it was supposed to be very hands-on. And when he went over to Fabrite, which is one of our partners, he was designing in Fusion 360 and then also like digitally fabricating and bringing that to life. And while he was there, he had the opportunity to meet another entrepreneur that was working in carpentry and ended up spending his next apprenticeship combining his love of design and building on working in coffee shops across the city to like remodel and build out and design the interior. And so you can see like he was exploring and trying these different things. He also tried computer science and coding, which he was like, I don't see myself doing this. This is not, I know there's money here, but this is not for me. And, you know, got to explore North Bennet and was like, oh my gosh, I love the project-based, the challenges, getting understand to work at my own pace. A lot of our students who come to Digital Ready come because like the way we think of like maybe traditional schooling where someone stands up at the front of the classroom and like pours knowledge into students didn't work for them. We always say like that doesn't work for anyone. None of us can learn like that. But was really looking, he's so motivated and so ambitious. He, I know, wants to like own his own company one day. That he really now at North Bennet gets to perfect his craft, which is something we care a lot about at Digital Ready, is students both learn design and entrepreneurship and leadership, and everyone comes out with a technical craft. As we say, we really want students to have, you know, see how like design and that technical aspect that can be used to change the world. So kind of emerges that and just, you know, seeing Pablo like in his chosen pathway, sending us photos every day is just so encouraging. And I know for many students, we just have them they're in their second semester. This is a very stressful point in their journey. So they're exploring so much. And, you know, as we do our one-on-ones, like, I don't have it figured out. I don't know my pathway yet. I wish someone would just tell me and it would be linear, like do A, then B, then C. But just like, you know, they learn the design process, the designing their own pathway is really messy. And students get to try a few different things. And then hopefully, you know, by the end of, they're with us for 4 semesters really, that they kind of emerge and feel really confident and excited about the pathway that they've chosen. And our goal here at Digital Ready is to open up access to no-cost college or no-cost apprenticeships because that cost can be a barrier. So we are really excited to partner with North Bennet because through our program, students earn somewhere between 18 and 30 no-cost college credits, even as they're exploring. But the barrier is like, once they leave us, how do they continue on their pathway and get that credential or that industry recognized evidence that shows that they're ready to move into their next step? So this has been an awesome, awesome partnership for us. And we're really like hopeful that we can like show more students North Bennet and that they can begin to explore this opportunity as one of their doors that's opened.
Thank you for that, Sarah. It's funny, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about that messy journey on the way to discovering, you know, what this is. And I feel very lucky from the vantage point of admissions here. You know, we get to see people in the early stages of that messy journey and how it kind of comes into focus, and then they decide to come here. And while you're getting, you know, pictures sent to you, which is fantastic, I get to walk around the building and kind of bear witness to what that progress is. And when people graduate, there's, so the tangibleness, if that's a word, it's all over the place here. And I think that's just great. And I love the fact that you're looking for opportunities where people are getting funding and avoiding getting into student debt. Beth, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry if it was difficult in getting on board here. Beth works with Project Reach and is one of the partners we've had for a long time. She works with Madison Park High School. We've got a number of students come from Madison Park and participate in our workforce scholarship. I just want to back up my question here for Beth and ask you to introduce yourself, Beth, and talk a little bit about the mission of Project Reach and how you work with Madison Park.
So yes, I'm Beth Fitzgerald. I'm the Associate Director of the Project Reach Talent Search Program. Project Reach is a trio talent search program, and we work with students, helping them, low-income first-generation students, helping them build skills to succeed in post-secondary education. So we work in 6 high schools and 3 middle schools in Boston. We're based at UMass Boston, but we work in the schools. And as Rob mentioned, one of the schools that I work in as an outreach counselor as well is Madison Park Technical Vocational High School. Yeah, what else you want me to talk about? I think that's it for now, right? Just an introduction, right?
Yeah, that's great, Beth. I appreciate it. And then, like Beth, I know Emmett had a little bit of trouble joining us, and I'm glad that you're here. Emmett, I know that we've worked a lot together through the organization that you founded, Dorchester Youth Collaborative. We've had a number of students come there, and I think you're now with an organization called MissionSAFE. And if you would just introduce yourself, please, Emmett, and talk about the organization you're with.
Yeah, sure. I'm Emmett Folgert, and I founded Dorchester Youth Collaborative in 1981. And this year we merged with MissionSAFE. And so now we kept the same space. I'm coordinator for many of the old programs from Dorchester Youth Collaborative and kept the same staff. So it's really been a good thing that these two pretty small agencies merged together and are stronger together than we were apart. So that's what I'm doing. And we have a long history with North Bennet Street School, a long and successful history. Our mission is to work with young people who live in the highest crime neighborhoods, which overlays with the highest rates of poverty, highest rates of school dropout, and many of the difficulties that young people face. So we use a lot of mapping to recruit our young people, trying not to wait until really bad outcomes have already occurred, because they unfortunately can be quite predictable, or predictable enough that it's okay to just take those young people in. And then, since we've been around for so long, and I've worked actually with many of their parents have come to our agency before, we have a certain kind of trust that governmental agencies don't have, that even schools and many people don't have. We can help them navigate through some difficulties. For example, we had a young person who was doing super. And then Rob calls me up and says, we don't know what happened. He stopped coming, to the program. And we went out to meet with the mother in her home, and she was reluctant to give certain information, to get the FAFSA, to get the Pell Grant. And through her trust in us, we were able to tell her it is okay. You've known us for 20 years. You can write this now. Nothing bad will happen, we promise. And because of that, he returned and was a stellar student. Actually ended up, a photo of him ended up on the annual report for North Bennet Street School. And he continues on in the community to be a superstar. Wonderful guy. How we work, first of all, I really like North Bennet Street School. I like the environment there, if you have been there. I like the supportive, exciting kind of climate in that place. The students are very supportive of each other, and there's a good energy there, and the staff as well. What, not just North Bennet Street School, but definitely North Bennet Street School, I think benefits from us being able to have the trust of the families and to do wraparound casework. I mean, some of our kids literally have been couch surfing as they are students there. They lose their housing, they're 19 or 20 years old, you know, or that ours are usually like that, 18 years old. And we have to be quick on our feet to try to make sure their housing is stable, their food, their clothing, so that they can pay full attention to the skills that they're learning at North Bennet Street School.
Emmett, thank you. I'm going to jump back to Rachel, and I'm gonna move forward on my questions. I'm going to ask, would you share how someone's life has been impacted by attending North Bennet Street School?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the one young person who has really made it through and is finishing up, I believe, this week at North Bennet School, which is really exciting. So I will share the story. I don't actually even know the history of our relationship with North Bennet School because that predated me and was my predecessor. But the day I got to More Than Words, our relationship was solidified with North Bennet Street School. We always had a relationship of bringing young people to North Bennet Street School, always bringing Rob in, and really just having a culture of exposure. I think something to know is that not all of our young people are going to be the best fit for North Bennet Street School. And I think probably that's pretty similar for a lot of the different people that a lot of groups on this call serve. But the best thing that we can do probably in collaboration with one another is exposure. And something that Rob has done so generously with his time is he's come in and spoken to any different groups of people, especially like coming in and speaking to our high schoolers and showing what the impact of a carpentry degree can do for your future. And that's what he did with the young person who's actually graduating right now. And he's finishing up. He was able to get a full scholarship to North Bennet Street School through the workplace scholarship, I believe. And I think the other thing to just show how great our collaboration, our partnership is, this young person actually just fell off communication with both of us, and we both worked in collaboration to get this person back on their feet, back in communication with us, back working actually at More Than Words and back at North Bennet Street School. And they're about to start their career, which is just really exciting for both of our organizations.
Thank you, Rachel. And I'll go to you, Beth, please. Would you share how somebody's life has been impacted by attending a program at North Bennet Street School?
Sure. So the one student that comes to mind, I've had a few success stories from North Bennet, but one of my favorites is Diego. And he was a student in the carpentry program at Madison Park. And, you know, with any vocational high school, I feel like students are learning the fundamentals. So Diego, at the time when he was in high school, he was doing an internship with the National Park Service in Boston. Really cool thing that happened is he applied to the preservation carpentry program at North Bennet Street School, got in, and he was able to do internships through the summer with the national parks, working at historical sites, using the skills that he learned at North Bennet Street School. And he was able to work with them for a few summers, I think 2 or 3 summers, and work with them, continue to work with them. Last I heard, and I haven't heard from him in a while, so I got to do some follow-up because I do check in with him every now. He was starting his own business. So he was working with somebody doing home repairs and building homes and stuff like that. So, and he was loving it. So And that was probably maybe about a year ago since I've heard, but it's a huge success story. So we're really proud of him and all that he accomplished.
That's great. Thank you, Beth. I'll go to you, Kathy. Is there somebody you can think of that's come here where you can see the impact that coming here has had on a person's life?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think hands down, all of the veterans that I personally have been working with that have gone through North Bennet Street have very much been successful. But the story that is the most touching really for me and wonderful to see is the veteran we have there right now, who and I've worked with Jeff for a long time. And when he first came to on my caseload, he had been in and out of the VRE program with the VA several times and kept trying traditional academic settings and would have a little bit of success and then things would kind of fall off. And, you know, at some point we just had a conversation. I said, do you want to go to college? I mean, it just wasn't, it just didn't seem to be his thing. And you know, I'm forgive me because I forget who was talking about it, but the match, finding your place in the world of work, not so obvious. Sometimes they can take a lot of tries. And this is a veteran that, you know, we certainly have the luxury and we're very lucky to have that too. We can try different things and, you know, give them the opportunity, but boy, did he ever find his place at North Bennet Street, and he has just flourished. He's happy. He's just a different man. He's just not even the same man that I first started working with, even through the first few years. And that's with disability issues being stable. It's just, he was not doing things that meant anything to him, really. I think he was doing, you know, kind of going along a path that is certainly a big part of the military culture. And sometimes in the VA, you know, part of our job as both rehab counselors is we're kind of breaking down a little bit of that culture because, all right, life has changed now. Not in the military anymore. Now you've got your worse for the wear. We've got to work within, you know, some of the limitations that you have now. And there's a lot to work through there, but he is just, I just can't say enough about what the experience has been for him at that school. It's changed him profoundly. And we are now, he's been successful completing, I think it was a carpentry program, right? Yeah, carpentry. And now we're moving on to something, something related. So we're going to keep him at North Bennet Street.
Good. I think he's also a teaching assistant at the carpentry program now too.
That's right.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean,
Thank you,
and
Kathy.
it just gives him that sense of just worth and confidence, and just all of those kind of, you know, quote unquote soft skill type things that come along with just being happy in what you're doing. So that's probably the most dramatic story I could tell, but and it's a current one, so which is a lot of fun.
Thank you. And Sarah, I know you kind of addressed this question earlier, but if you could just share a little bit more about sort of the impact that you can see, you know, on the student that's here.
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, looking at Pablo and just, you know, being part of his journey from beginning to end, it's really, I mean, it's just amazing when you see a student that has found something that they just truly love so much. We talk about in Digital Ready, you know, students have to design their future job. Like, what's that job that you would do even if you didn't get paid for? And how do you like find that? And it's very clear to me, even though, you know, Pablo tried so many things and was so willing to try different things, that when he found, you know, like at North Benton, he is so happy building. It really, like, it always came back to like, carpentry or like building with his hands and designing. And, you know, really at Digital Ready, we're not, we talk about, it's not like the technical skills, like it's great that they're learning like coding or computer science, but what we're really, you know, developing is like the future creative problem solvers. And what Pablo, I think, loves so much about North Bennet is like, he's working, yes, he loves that technical craft, but also he gets to be this creative problem solver and gets to, you know, be the designer and think about, you know, not everything is just like laid out and like do X, Y, and Z. There are both, you know, design parameters, but then there's also constraints, and all that, all of those things makes it really interesting for someone who really wants to like solve, you know, complex problems in the world. And so I love that, you know, that just makes us so happy because Pablo like found that sometimes students will stay with us a little longer than a year because they choose a pathway and then they realize there is no way that I could possibly do this for the rest of my life. I was wrong. And, you know, we say like, you know, that's okay. Like, you know, we had a student go into kind of a cybersecurity pathway and they're just like, no, I do not see myself doing this. And they like kind of had to step back and they get to continue on their journey, but that's okay. But it's just so awesome when someone does find that pathway. And, you know, I can see Pablo, he's so awesome. He has both his short-term goals and his long-term goals. And I know from day one, Pablo has not only wanted to like perfect his craft and be this incredible designer and carpenter, but also to like have that entrepreneurial side where he owns his own company one day. And really is able to provide for his family and, you know, be a leader in his family for, and, you know, I love that he has like that short-term side and he's getting that support at North Bennet, but also he can see like in the future, like this is putting me closer to that path as well. And so that's just incredible. Like we are so excited and we often talk about Pablo in our studio. So I think students are like, when is Pablo coming to talk to us? Like we want to hear about this program. We want to interview him. We want to hear about what he's liking and disliking. And so it's so fun when, because we're, you know, just, that was our first year when we now have kind of an alum of the program. Because we say like, students, don't ask us, go talk to the students who have done this in their pathway and hear directly from them what it's like to understand whether this is part of your pathway or not.
Sarah, thank you. You know, all of these things resonate. Like all of the people here are active problem solvers. So many people here, when you walk around and see the work, it's almost like they can forget about time because they're so excited to be doing the work. And it's a joy. You know, we're about the skill and the confidence of the curriculum and the career training, but you can't deny the holistic impact on people while they're here. It's fantastic. Emmett, I'm going to go to you. You also mentioned a little bit about some of the impact that you've seen on people. Would you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. Many of the young people we work with have lived all their lives in Boston, but they've never been to the North End, and you're on the edge of the center of this metropolis. And it's so exciting to them to see this part of the city and be part of this part of the city. It's right away it broadens their horizons when they go down there. And you know, we'll come and our people tend to be quite young, and sometimes I'm like grandpa to them right now because I'm of that age, and younger staff are, you know, big brothers or parental, and they're still young enough that they need that kind of oversight. So we come and we visit on the, you know, the days when they are showing off. It's just thrilling for everybody, including us, by the way. So the environment is extremely important. Also, you know, timing has a lot to do with success in life for all of us, doesn't it? And thank God everybody needs a carpenter right now, because as we all know, and there were decades when there were way more carpenters than there were jobs. It was really, because it's so much fun and it's exciting and problem solving and it's creative and beautiful, that often when you're exposing people to the young people to the trades, they like carpentry. They just do. And adults do as well. Well, now there are plenty of jobs out there, which gives young people, especially from poverty, under-resourced neighborhoods, a real shot at a sustainable job, which then their peers and their families look at them, and it gives them hope so that they don't join the gangs and they don't go down the wrong path. It's fabulous.
Emmett, thank you. And Norma, I know we have yet to have a student come here from NextGen. It is in our nearest future. But one of the things that I think is fascinating about your relationship to the school is that you have become a member of the Board of Trustees. Can you share with us a little bit about what that means for you?
Absolutely. I'm really happy that I was invited to be a part of the board. I started off sort of as an advisory board member, and then was invited to become part of the Board of Trustees. And really, I was approached by a former colleague of mine at Jobs for the Future when I worked there about it, or two of them actually. Melba is also a part of that, Melba Abreu. And I'm going to tell sort of a little story. So when I was growing up, what I knew of the North End was the festivals. I'm from JP. I knew about the great food. I knew it was better than the food in New York's Little Italy. I knew that. I knew that my mom would get groceries at Haymarket. They were cheaper that way in the 70s and 80s. There was a butcher shop there that my mom would go to. And I love the North End for those reasons. On the flip side, as a Latinx woman, I didn't feel altogether comfortable sometimes in the North End. Neither did my mom, because of who we were, because of our background. And even more recently, in the last 10 years, I go there sometimes to go grab lunch if I'm downtown. And, there's still a lot of racial, ethnic dynamics that go on in this city. That means certain neighborhoods aren't as welcoming to some people. And of course, that's a generalization. There are wonderful people in the North End who are very welcoming and open to people of color, but there are some who are not. And so for me, when I got the opportunity to take on this position with North Bennet Street School, it meant a lot to me personally, because I felt like, wow, I can be part now of a movement, given my experience and my perspective as a woman of color, as an Indigenous woman, to open the school up to other communities, to other ways of thinking, and to help them in your sort of mission to widen the range of people that are going into the traditional trades, right? Because the reality is that a lot of folks are retiring from the traditional trades. It's still very white and male, and we need to expand that. And I think we need people like me who are from here, who understand the dynamics that have happened historically and continue to happen, that continue to persist, to be part of that, to get the word out, and to have that kind of face on the board is important. And so for me, it's not just about sort of, one of my missions is to make sure that the school reflects the beautiful diversity of our city. But I also think, and Rob is doing a wonderful job of trying to get that done, and all of the folks on this call are as well. But I also think we need to look at it as, this is going to benefit the industry, right? The traditional trades, because we need new blood. We need young people who have different traditions, different histories, in the traditional trades, in the arts, in craft, to keep this industry going, and so for me, it's kind of like a twofold mission there. And I just really loved working with Rob through Navigator, our tool. I honestly have to say that I've been so impressed with the president of the school, with Rob as director of admissions. Just from the top down, everyone is so willing to take on these new challenges and to have the hard conversations. And I think that's so important when you want to bring in partnerships from the community, because we want to feel heard and we want to feel like we're not just there as a face, we're there to actually make change and to do it quickly, because it needs to happen now.
Norma, thank you. I'm going to stay with you. I have a last question for everyone, and that is, what would you tell another nonprofit organization about why you became involved with North Bennet Street School. I can come back if you like.
Or are you talking to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
figured-
Okay, I thought it was an open question. Yeah, so you know, I think for me, honestly, and a lot of people have sort of said this during the session, there are way too many students that are falling through the cracks in our city, and part of it is this kind of college for all message and a mantra that people have that is really outdated at this point. There are a lot of great jobs that folks can get that pay really well, that have advancement opportunities, that don't require a four-year degree. And I think North Bennet is part of, sort of opening them up to that idea. I also, student loan debt is becoming a bigger and bigger problem for a lot of students that are going to college. And so these kinds of solutions are really, really important. And I also think that unfortunately, there's this mistake that people have in thinking that the traditional trades are not like good work, that you can't, that's if you can have fun and you just want to be creative, but it's not a real job. And North Bennet is proving time and time again through its graduates that that's not the case. We have students that are in, and even things like locksmithing, a lot of students don't know North Bennet offers a locksmithing class, and that you can work with like Harvard University and be a locksmith with them, and you can make really good wages starting out. And even if you're not getting a scholarship, what you're making is going to more than make up for in a few years what you would be paying to be in that program. So it's, I think opening people's minds up to that is super important. And I think any organization that understands these things should really be wanting to partner with North Bennet to make sure that we give more, we close this opportunity gap that's happening in our city that disproportionately affects low-income students and students of color, and that we have the opportunity here to do that through these partnerships.
Norma, thank you so much.
Sure.
Sarah, I'm going to go to you. What would you tell another nonprofit about why you became involved with North Bennet Street School?
Yeah, so one, I just totally agree with everything that Norma just said. I think, just reflecting again on when we met with students and asked them, what do they need? Because I think there are still, as Norma said, too many students here in Boston who are graduating from our high schools and do not have a path forward, when there are thousands of jobs right here that they could access with the right opportunity. Really, it's really just that connecting piece. But one thing there are a lot of things even within our high schools or in higher ed that haven't changed. There's still very traditional ways of learning. And what I love about North Bennet, and I've loved about North Bennet from the first time I saw you guys, was like, oh my gosh, like this is the way learning's supposed to be, like driven by the learner, hands-on, immersive, project-based, like feedback. Like students get so much feedback. One of our students, in one of our dual enrollment classes is like, I wrote this really awesome essay and I've been like waiting for feedback and I haven't got it. And like faculty members have like hundreds of students. You're lucky if you get like a little side comment. But in North Bennet, students get tons and tons and tons of feedback. And whether you're in college or you're in the workforce, like feedback is what helps you grow. And our students are really hungry for feedback to know, like, where am I, and we talk about it as like their superpowers and their growth edges. But all of those things not only help them develop like their technical craft, which is important, but helps them develop as innovators, as leaders, as creative problem solvers. I have no doubt that like Pablo is not just going to be a carpenter. He's going to be like changing, the design of Boston. Like there's structures and policies related to construction in this city that need to be changed. And, we need them not only to have that technical craft, but able to advocate and design for that change. And I think that's what's really, really remarkable about North Bennet. It's where all of our institutions in this city need to be headed if we're really going to prepare, future leaders and future innovators, which is what I think all of us on this call really want to do, is like activate students' potential that maybe hasn't been activated yet at their home high school.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to go to you, Kathy. What would you tell another nonprofit or a government agency about how you became involved with North Bennet Street School?
So oh my goodness, I don't know how many years, Rob, but at some point, the way our program was structured at that time, the counselor that case managed veterans at North Bennet Street left. The school became mine. And, you know, and I thought, wow, this is like a well-hidden little jewel in Boston. And I so appreciate what the school has done to, you know, actively recruit veterans and get the word out, because again, you know, this idea that higher ed is the only way to go, and clearly it is not, and doesn't work for everybody. This school is really just about getting solid jobs, well-paying jobs. And there are nobody. The average age of an electrician is 58 years old. We are desperate to get people into the trades. The VA is, and the VRE program in particular, is now kind of shifting to getting our veterans into training programs that are more short-term, but still with really great outcomes for them. North Bennet Street just fills that perfectly. So, I mean, the organization, the school, everyone in it is so professional, so helpful, supportive. I mean, and I have a personal connection as well. I have a nephew that graduated from North Bennet Street a couple of years ago, who is thriving in his own right. I mean, it's just been a life-changing experience for that young man. So from a professional relationship with the school to a personal relationship with the school, I just can't promote the school enough in terms of it's just more than an education. It's just a community, a sense of team, and the success that comes out of there is second to none. And I put any of my graduates from North Bennet Street up against any of my Harvard Business School graduates any day.
This is being recorded, Kathy.
That's all right.
Thank you.
And they know it. I would say it to them.
Good. Thanks so much, Kathy. Can we go to you, Beth, please?
Yeah, just what all of you've been saying. I feel like I remember the first time I visited, and I just fell in love with the school. And I remember saying, I think I even said this to Rob, if I had a do-over, you know, I think I would come to this school. For all those who are thinking about partnering, go visit, go talk to the people. And I feel the same has happened with my students. That's my favorite trip of every year. And we haven't been able to do it because of COVID, but it's bringing the kids from Madison and bringing our students to the open house and seeing their eyes light up when they meet with the students of North Bennet Street, and the students taking the time to show them their work and talk to them about these things. And the kids really, I could see their faces like that. This is for me, like I can just see it, you know, and like I've been working in my program for over 20 years. And you know, I remember when I first started, you know, I was young and I was like trying to push kids into college, you know, and it's that not one size fits all. And I think it goes back, I think Norma was talking about it. Like a lot of the students I work with, they don't want to go to a traditional college. They're so creative, right? Their hands, they build, the way they think, right? They're so creative, and it's a great place to learn. And so I can't say enough good things. And I agree with what all of you say. I don't want to go on and say what everybody else has been saying, but I just feel like it's a wonderful place. And I feel like the students, we've had a lot of success there with our students. Locksmithing, you know, we've had a few students graduate from that program, are out in the field work and making a lot of money, great benefits, and the carpentry program. So I feel like it's a good place, because a lot of the kids in the vocational program, they're learning the fundamentals, and a lot of times leaving right from high school, they're not getting as, they might be starting out in jobs that, or maybe want jobs that they don't have the skill set for yet. So being able to continue that into a school like North Bennet Street and really learn more in-depth skills and the critical thinking and things that you've all been talking about, and taking that and ending up getting really good jobs. I love it. So I highly recommend North Bennet.
Beth, thank you. We can have visitors, so I'll be in touch. And I remember you saying that on your first visit that you wanted to come here. You still can. We can talk. Emmett, what about yourself?
Two words come to mind, for other partners. One is the brand. North Bennet Street School is a brand. When I talk to people my age and homeowners, they'll say, oh, I've got a carpenter from North Bennet Street. So, oh, okay. That's quality. And that has taken decades to build. It's a wonderful thing. The other thing is families. Most people in trades that I've known all my life come from families where someone else is already in a trade, okay? Many of our kids, pretty much all of our kids come from families where no one's been in a trade that I work with. And I know Madison Park, I've got several kids at Madison Park, so we should talk anyway. Several wonderful kids over there. So keep that in mind if you're a partner agency. There's a difference if you come from a family where you have a role model who already is in the trades and one who doesn't. And they're going to need a little extra help and mentoring. And some of the wonderful staff from North Bennet Street School, they can be helpful in that too. Just there's a lot of politics to the trades, just like there's politics to everything else. You better get a couple of foremen that love you and you have to please them because they'll pick you over and over again. So there's nuances like that we together can work together to make sure the outcomes are terrific for our wonderful kids and adults. I'm talking about.
Emmett, that's fantastic. I absolutely agree. We're coming up right on the top of the hour. And so I just want to say thank you to each of you today. Rachel Dovek from More Than Words, who she had to leave early. I want to say thank you to Sarah, to Norma, to Emmett, to Beth, and to Kathy, who arrived as a guest and was invited to be a panelist. Thank you all so much. I look forward to being in touch with you soon. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before we close out?
I have one more thing, and I think this is really important because a lot of our students, like I said, are low income. So I feel like with this, you've always been supportive of our students financially as well. So like a lot of kids, oh, I can't go there, I can't afford it. So most of the students that have come to Madison, that have come to North Bennet, have been there on full scholarship. So I just wanted to add that piece because I think it's really important that, it's accessible for many people. So I just wanted to add that last piece.
Thank you, Beth. Anyone else?
All of our kids have been on full scholarship too. And congratulations to your trustees and you and Melissa for raising the funds to support these kids. It's critical. They couldn't do it without that work too, what you guys do.
We're very lucky and we're very grateful. We're also grateful for our relationships with all of you here. Thank you so much.